Welcome back to the Nullified Take channel here on YouTube. We've got the TNT takes for you on the Challenge USA episode 4, also streaming live today on Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host, Chris, and with me today is my fellow 2 co-hosts, Chantel and Drew, and potentially we might have a special guest through this live pop-up at some stage as well, which we're very excited about, so hopefully that does work out. But Chantel, coming over to you, you're going back to back again today on the podcast. How's things over on your end?
You know what? Things are great. The Challenge USA is my favorite thing that I'm covering right now. I look forward to it every week. I look forward to being here every week. I do 3 recaps of this show every week, and I enjoy every single one of them. They're all completely different. They all allow me to go really deep into the same episode. I'm happy to be here, and I really am enjoying the Challenge USA. I can't believe I'm saying this again.
It's one of the fun things, right? You can have different people with different takes and different opinions on it, and that's what's so great about this fandom that we have on the challenge. Everybody's got their own views of what they love and don't love. Let's go over here to someone who is definitely someone that dives very deep into the challenge content each week here for everybody as well. Drew from the Angel Cake Entertainment channel. Drew, how's things on your end?
I'm doing well today. I'm doing good. Definitely taking some time for myself this week. But looking to make some good, fun, exciting content coming up very soon. And starting out with this live. I'm excited to hear what everybody has to say about this episode.
Awesome. Yeah, like I'm really looking forward to it as well. It was a great episode. We've got people here in the live as always. Thank you for dropping in. Chris, Camelo, Richard, Lily, Lil Smurfy, Anthony, so many people here. Margie even paused listening to the new Beyonce album for us. What a commitment. What a commitment. I don't know if I would have done the same if I was you, but we do appreciate you being here. Lovable Nikki saying Chantel was just live. Yes, we know.
True.
She's definitely one of the hardest working people on YouTube right now. And then welcome to everybody else here in the live stream as well. So great episode. Let's start off right from the start. There is an algorithm that takes place. A few different people are going to get put together in different teams here coming into the episode. The ones that stand out right from the start is Alyssa and Kyland having to be in the same team here. Chantel is someone who was the Big Brother person, you know, the biggest Big Brother person, I guess, last year. What did you think of Alyssa and Kyland being put together in this specific episode? And did you think that they could make it work together? Because apparently there was some history there and they didn't always see eye to eye in their previous season.
Well, I mean, what we've been seeing is that Kyland is a top dog this season. So I wasn't necessarily looking at Kyland and Alyssa as being 2 people from Big Brother, just because now he's kind of on the same level as Tyson, same level as Angela, like similar level anyways, as this being someone like, oh, he's a good partner. So my first thought was, maybe it's going to help Alyssa get a win and get to be able to run the final. And then I was like, wait, it's trivia. Is that going to matter? So I remember the trivia after, and then I wasn't sure it was going to matter whether or not the strength, she has the strength. But yeah, I actually didn't really go straight to Big Brother. I went more so to him being a strong competitor.
Right. Drew, there was some other interesting pairings here as well. Obviously, we had Sean and Xavier, which we know ultimately is going to be the team that's going to go into the elimination by the end of it. But then there was the obvious house target in Shannon and Cinco that were paired together, and they were both from Love Island. Were you shocked to see Shannon and Cinco, who are 2 very capable people, not being maybe a little bit higher up on the threat list or the target list here in this episode because they didn't necessarily have those connections with people that were in power? I think you're on mute, Drew. Maybe on mute.
All right, I'm back. I'm back. I was on mute for some reason. I didn't even know I muted myself. I am not surprised because Cinco is such a towering person and an intimidator that I think that people don't necessarily want to take a shot at him this early in fear that if it is like a hall brawl or something, he's going to come back into the house and come back at you tenfold type of thing.
Yeah.
And also, the last couple of episodes, we've seen Love Island people just like falling off one after another. It's not that big of a threat at this point because Love Island has lost so many numbers, and the tantalizing idea of throwing in Xavier and Shan for Alyssa was just too much. I mean, it took over everything. It took over the whole episode, took over the whole house. There was no other option in this whole thing. I mean, Alyssa could be like, do we do it? Do we do it? We're going to do it. Like that was all play, I feel, for Kyland to be like, okay, if Kyland pushes back, maybe I'll stop. But there was no way that there was going to be another option.
Yeah. All right. Well, our special guest for the podcast has arrived and we will pop them in very soon. We're very fortunate to have someone that's got true inside information on what is going on in the challenge house here with us today. James Wallington, who was in the chat last week, is joining us today live here to chat about the Challenge USA. James, welcome. How are you doing? Are you on mute, James?
I'm so excited to chat with the three of you. I've been following your recaps even when the cast was announced and you did your cast assessments, although I wasn't drafted by any of you.
I'm sorry. I feel so bad. You don't even know how bad I feel. Oh my goodness.
My God, no, I absolutely love listening to your recaps every week. I love how passionate you are about the show, and you guys have really great insight. So I'm really excited to chat with you.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here, and thank you so much for being a good sport about it. You know, it's really tough when you make these choices as well, because you never know who's going to pick who and what order, and then that sometimes changes your thinking about who do you draft next as well. Now, James, I know you also do a little bit of podcasting for The Amazing Race, obviously a show that you've won in the past, so you definitely have the expertise to talk about it. Have you guys ever done like drafts and things like that on The Amazing Race, or is that something that you try and stay away from?
Yeah, for this last season 33, Will and I, when we did our podcast, would pick like our top 3 teams. Like, who did we think would make the final 3? So I get it. When you don't have a lot of information to go off of, you kind of have to base it off just assumptions and like how people are connected, especially for the challenge. You know, Amazing Race, there was only 3 of us, and you don't think we're really well connected to the other shows. So you got to go with the information you're given to really make a draft. So I get it.
Yeah, definitely tough.
You know how bad I've been feeling? I'm like, oh, I hope he doesn't watch back. No. So you don't mind.
The one thing we've always been very open about on this podcast in any case is that if we call someone out, we're happy for them to come on here and tell us how wrong we are. Like we don't mind that. We don't mind it at all. If somebody comes here and they tell us you were wrong, you should have picked me from the start. Now, James, you're a fan like ours. You know, you've been on the shows now before. You've been on the challenge. You've been on The Amazing Race. You know, what's next? Do you think that, you know, you'd love to go back to the challenge, that you have enough of a great time this time that you'd put your hand up to say, I want to do that again? Or would you do what I think you would be great at, Survivor? I feel like you have the strategic game for it.
I know. I've definitely seen some tweets circulating about getting me on Survivor or Big Brother next. So I say never. I'm open to whatever opportunities present themselves, just because I love the adventure and the competition of it all. But yeah, if the Challenge USA got picked up for a second season, like sign me up. I want redemption. I want to go back. Hopefully there won't be an algorithm this time. But I would love the algorithm. I would love the opportunity to go back. So we'll see what the future has in store.
Yeah. So, I mean, you go into... Yeah, go for it.
I was going to say, what is it like watching the show now that you've come off? And so you're seeing an episode that you weren't really a part of, and like you're seeing people that you've been playing with. Like, how is it different from being in there and then watching it and not really knowing what's going to happen next?
So like I had mixed feelings going into it, obviously, just for the emotions of just FOMO. Like that was my biggest thing when I got eliminated, was I didn't really care that I lost. It was more so that I was feeling like I was missing out on more of the experience that I really was craving. So at first I was like, maybe I won't watch the episode. It might be a little too hard for me. And then even I tweeted about it, and Tyson was like, I've never watched an episode past I got voted off on Survivor. So I totally get it. But I was like, you know what? As a fan, I can't help but want to tune in and watch and see what transpired afterwards. And it's just kind of nice to be at the comfort of my own home and actually watch it all play out now.
Yeah, so the audience here, we're very happy to have you on their team this season as well. Now, you go into this race, and there was a few other amazing racers that were on the show as well. You were portrayed as the snake in the grass, the one that was willing to cut the rest of the Amazing Race players. But you did mention that there was a lot more that went on there that we didn't see. So talk us through a little bit of your decision-making process, because I thought you were doing the right thing, really trying to go to the numbers, because you guys were outnumbered out there.
Yeah, I think the main thing is with 28 people, it's obviously hard to showcase a lot of the different relationships that are actually coming to light in the house. And I think night one, Sarah and Tasha had pulled Kayla and I aside and said, if you need a home, Amazing Race has a home with Survivor. So I would say Survivor in the race, there was this perception that we were all kind of working together. So the round, obviously, when it looks like I'm the snake in the grass for Amazing Race, you obviously know, depending on who's in power and what show they're from, what the options are going to be. And because it was two Big Brother people, Tasha and I narrowed it down before we went into deliberation. We were like, it's either going to be Dom and Cash or it's going to be Leo and Justine. We're obviously not going to push for Sarah and Cinco, and Kira and Angela have a friendship beyond the compound. So there was no way she was going to throw Ben and Kira in. So those were really the two options we got to play with. But what people didn't see in the edit was that when we were in deliberation, Kyland and Angela said, well, what if there's a third option? And Tasha and I obviously were excited. We're like, okay, this opens an opportunity maybe not to go against Survivor or Amazing Race. And they threw out David and Shannon's name. And that was like music to our ears, just because that's Big Brother, Love Island. No harm for us if we win, take out that duo. But I don't think enough traction or a conversation around it happened to really make sense of it in the edit. But we tried. That was what we really wanted, unfortunately.
Did
I have a
you
question.
guys? Yeah, go ahead, Chantal.
So I believe you were a big fan of Tasha before being on this show with her. How has it been going on the press junket, the press tour, and talking about your experience together? Like, you probably became, I'd assume, good friends after now.
Yeah, Tasha is incredible. We had way too much fun with our exit press, given obviously the outcome. No, she's an incredible woman. I really respect the heck out of her. I look up to her in a lot of ways. And we both said this from the moment we left Argentina. If we were to be eliminated with anyone, we were glad we were eliminated together, just because we were able to really boost it. We both took it really hard losing, but to be able to be there for each other with no drama attached was, I think it helped us process the loss a lot quicker than it had we been partnered with anybody else. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise, but I was sad that we were obviously eliminated.
Obviously.
Yeah. It was sad to see you guys go together, but you've been in this reality TV world for quite a while, and you talk about, this is the first time you've really lost one of these shows. Previously, you won, so that in itself, obviously is a different experience from the previous one that you've had. I guess the question I have is, having been in that reality world for quite a while, how many of these players were you actually familiar with when you went out there? How many of them have you actually met and spoken to at events and things prior to the game even starting, or was it more a case of you've watched many of them play the game?
So I knew everybody and what show they came from, relationships that they brought to the compound, like the previous relationships. But in terms of face-to-face interactions that I had, it was probably half the cast, which I don't think a lot of people knew prior going into this, that I was more connected socially than I think people realize. Like, I had met all the Big Brother 23 people at Hearts of Reality months before, had hung out with Kyland and Tiffany a few weeks prior to even leaving, even Derek X. And then I met up with Shan and Desi, and I had met Tasha and Sarah previously. So I knew quite a lot of people going into it.
That's amazing. And who would you say was the biggest pleasant surprise and how they were different out there when you were interacting with them? And who was the person that you don't want to always meet your heroes out there? If you're allowed to say that, if you want to throw some shade, it's up to you.
I think I'm a very passionate reality TV fan, so I have very strong opinions about people when I watch them on the show. And I get an edit can sometimes make you either love or hate them, depending on what they choose to show. And I will be the first to admit that I think I misjudged Ben and Sarah quite a bit. I wasn't really sure if I would get along with either of them. But when Sarah extended the olive branch to me on night one, that really just opened the door for us to form the connection that we did. And Ben and I had amazing just dynamics just between the two of us to talk about life beyond just the game. So it was really nice to, have a slice of humble pie and be like, okay, great. I misjudged these two. And I think Sarah and Ben are really awesome and they're really great competitors. But, you know, everyone obviously has different opinions, but
I'm eating humble pie right now. Don't worry, because like Ben's doing pretty well. I don't hate Ben, and Sarah's doing pretty well. I don't hate Sarah, and I was coming for him. I'm like, you picked them first, like, horrible. So
my smile is right here, right now.
I'm appreciative for the conversations that I had with both of them. I mean, I don't like text them on the regular, but like I enjoyed my time with them in the compound more than I thought I was going to.
We've got a question here from the live audience. Red is not flavor is asking James if you guys went out more than what we actually saw on the show, because Red is not flavor feels like there's mainly strategy focus at the moment. And it's one of the things I noticed even in this last episode, we don't get a lot of the house dynamics of you guys just being out there having fun. Right. Is that a true reflection of what was going on in the house? Because this wasn't your first reality competitive show and so many people were just so much in game mode, or was there a lot more fun going out like you would see on the main show of the challenge?
I mean, I think it's safe to assume, even if you don't see it every episode, that the cast went out at some point. Probably every round. Like even in the premiere, you saw us go out after a daily. That's usually what would happen. And a lot of game talk would happen when we went out to the bar. Like with Tasha and I, we sat down at the bar and we're like, what's our game plan to really push for David and Shannon? And we were able to have some conversations on our night out. But I would say it's safe to assume that we probably went out every episode.
We've got another question here in the live. So Christina is asking, did Dom know what show he was on when he got to the compound? And then also, how annoying was Leo's cat talk all the time?
Well, a lot of Leo's cat talk we're seeing is in the interviews. And I never personally had cat talk with him. We obviously have a friendship before we went into the compound, so we didn't need to have cat talk, which I know a lot of other people did. But no, it didn't annoy me. I think Leo's hysterical, but I can see why in a lot of edits and like the way it's sliced and diced with him mentioning the word cat every 5 seconds, how that might be annoying. But no annoyance from Leo there. And then Dom, he definitely knew what show he was on. I mean, he was itching to go into elimination, which I thought was crazy. But yeah, he really just wanted to prove himself. And I think a lot of that had to do with, I think he said on the episode, just being one of the older guys in the house. I think he probably felt shoved aside or not being taken as serious as a competitor. So he was hungry to just prove himself, but he definitely knew what show he was on and he was excited to be there.
Yeah. How difficult is it when you're going into we've never spoken to anybody that's gone into one of those eliminations, and you obviously went in there twice this season. How difficult is it to pay attention to things like the instructions in the moment? Do you hear people that are on the sidelines shouting to help and things like that? What is it like being in the cauldron, being down there?
Yeah, I think it all depends on who your partner is, right? Like with Kayla, we're both from Amazing Race. We just bring a different type of spirit to the competition where we can actually have fun with it and not take it so seriously. Because I think sometimes if you take it too seriously, you might actually mess up more. You just got to have fun with it and like really not put so much stress and pressure on yourself. So that was a pretty straightforward elimination where we're just riding a bike and doing memory. But yeah, a lot of people are shouting at us. I was showboating it a little bit, like having way too much fun with that elimination. But then on the flip side, to contrast that, Tasha and mine's elimination was a lot harder because when I'm in the tank, I could barely hear people shouting if they even were throwing out any sort of suggestions or help. And then with Tasha, we're not able to communicate really at all just because she's trying to focus on her task. I'm trying to focus on the drain. And then the glass doesn't make it any easier. So I think design-wise, I would have loved to have had just something different with our elimination, because I think every elimination we've seen, even in this past episode with Shannon and Xavier getting eliminated, is they were able to work together on every task, where Tasha and I weren't able to work together. It's like I had my section, she had her section, and then I'm in the tank just waiting for her to build the tower. There was not much more I could do to help. Where I think if it was more interactive, I mean, Cash and Dom were clearly not on the same page or communicating. So I think if it was more of a team effort where you're actually physically together, they might have butted heads, and that might have helped Tasha and I. So.
No, I agree with that. And we've got two questions here, both about TJ as a host. So first, what do you think of TJ as a host? And then second, who's the better host, TJ Levin or Phil?
Well, I feel like I cannot answer who's the better host just because both shows are way different experiences. And I think Phil is well equipped for the race. And I can see why TJ is the host of the challenge. So there really is no comparison. But in terms of TJ, I went into it not sure like what I'd really think of him. I was like, I don't know if he'll like me. Like I might be a little intimidated by him. But right after the first daily, when Shannon and I came down the side of the building so quickly and solved the math so fast, he was literally like, how did y'all do that? He was kind of blown away at Shannon and I, because I think we were kind of perceived weaker by most of the cast or not seen as like serious competition. So he was blown away in that moment. And then after I won my first elimination, he made a point to look at me and was like dead in the eyes and said, you're a really great competitor. So when he said that to me, I'm like, I know TJ doesn't just say that shit. And I wish it would have been shown in the show because he said it to me on 2 different occasions, despite, I would say, my luck and performance that we had, unfortunately, with me. But he still was impressed with what I brought in the elimination.
So to kind of piggyback on that that question, how is it compared to watching like the MTV version of the show to actually being on the show? Because like I've seen every episode of MTV's The Challenge, and like being on the show, I'd be like I'd be mind blown. But so what was that experience for you as someone that's seen it in the past and then actually kind of living through something that you've been watching probably for years?
Yeah, it's weird being thrown into that situation, having grown up watching the show. And I think the big thing for me was just how much downtime there was at the house. And I feel like that's what it would be like in Big Brother. But with the edit, you see it, and it seems like there's so much conversation going on, so much drama, a lot of partying in the house nonstop. But when you're there, it's like you might be sitting around for 5 hours doing absolutely nothing, and it can kind of get a little boring. So that was probably the biggest shock, is that it wasn't so go, 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 or like we weren't always doing activities. So we had to find ways to entertain ourselves, and that was Mafia. Thank God Azza was there, because she's such a good Mafia host. As if you watch the Big Brother live feed,
Yes.
She is just incredible at that game. So we played Mafia quite a bit.
Yeah, we've got a few more questions coming in from the audience that I'm just sort of checking out now at the moment as well, but we've still got you on here, James. Anthony is saying, do you think Dom threw the elimination challenge? There's still some people out there that think that Dom on purpose threw the challenge. Now, I've had Dom's brother reach out to me to say he 100% did not throw the challenge. He didn't completely understand the instructions. He thought after all the pieces were out, he couldn't get eliminated, and that the water, even if the water ran out at that point, he would still be in the game. What's your thoughts on this as someone that was closer to the action?
I definitely don't think Dom threw it. I think with so many things that are going on, sometimes like the smallest detail might be what screws you up, right? And I think because of everything that was going on, all the different moving parts, Dom definitely just forgot to plug his drain. So I don't think he threw the elimination, especially when you saw how like eager he was to go into elimination, like crazy. He wanted to really prove himself. He really wanted to make a statement. And I hope that he can continue to do that. And I have faith that Dom will continue to surprise people.
Another question here coming in from the audience. They're full of all the great questions here today. Christina is asking, did you know about the tension between Alyssa and Derek and the cookout? It looked like Alyssa was telling a lot of different people about the fact that she wanted to go after them. I'm assuming that those conversations may have made it to you while you were in the house.
Yeah, I think going into it, you have to be very apprehensive, like to believe everything that's thrown at you, right? And I think with Big Brother, they're so sneaky that I could never really take if what Alyssa or Derek were saying to me at face value, because I was like, maybe they're trying to make it seem like they're not close with Big Brother, and maybe they're all huddling together late at night somewhere in the compound. I never really could trust what I was being told, but it wasn't until I think after Tiffany got eliminated and I really got to see Alyssa being like, I'm here to play my game. And I felt the same sense from Derek. And I actually respected that, because I was kind of getting bored with the show lines. Like I was like ready for something to shake up in the house. And so Derek, Alyssa, Kayla, and I had actually talked about the four of us coming together. If I were to survive elimination with Tasha, we were going to come together and forge our way through the game together. So I didn't realize it was so like, I don't think it was necessarily cookout specific. It was just more so they were pawns in a bigger strategy on Big Brother 23. And they wanted to come in and be like, we're here to compete and we're playing our own game. So I can't fault them for that.
That's a good one. Red is not flavor here says, who would you beat in a hall brawl? And I think a better question would be, what classic eliminations did you not want to see in an elimination? And was there anything that you thought this would be in your wheelhouse when you went out there to play?
Yeah, I mean, like,
there were some big boys this season, right? You had Cinco and Danny.
Like, for hall brawls and pole wrestling, they're not my favorite. They're not my I don't get off to seeing people like bump into each other and like be aggressive like that. I'd rather see a physical and a more mental component together, because I think that's what the challenge encompasses. You have to be good at everything. It's not just brute strength. So I could do without those eliminations altogether personally. But I don't know. It would have been interesting. I think, if I went in against like Derek, it would be a more even, more even hall brawl. I would even say maybe Cashel, just because we're very similar in size. And I may not have the muscles like Cashel, but I definitely have the size in comparison to Kim. So those are two I would say would probably be the more even hall brawls if I had to do one.
I wouldn't want to do one either.
I don't want to go against Danny. I don't want to go against Cinco. I don't want to go against Tyson. I'd rather watch that from the sidelines. I don't want to be near that.
How much of a, you mentioned Ben a little bit earlier on, how much of a threat has he been in these early days? Because it seems like a lot of the challenges, even this last one, he's coming in second place quite often. He's just not getting the win. Is that something that people are taking notice of in the house, or do you think he's quite well insulated?
I'm curious to see moving forward if that's something that will come to light. With Ben in particular, he's also just like a great partner. Like I could see how he managed being partners with the different people he was with, and he's just like a fun. There's like a fun energy to him where he's like a competitor, but he's also going to be there to support his partner. And I think he really was able to work well with anybody he was given, and I think that's why he's performing so well. But yeah, I think because Tyson is such a main focus in the house, having won what now is that 2 dailies?
Yeah, so Tyson's 2, Angela's 2, and Kyland is
so
2 now as well.
That's where the focus is, because they're the ones that are winning. But I think that to Tyson and Angela's point of like, let's take out the perceived unprepared players, I think it's more so like, let's keep the rich, because the moment you take out a shot at someone with money, it's fair game. Like, let's start firing shots at people with money. So I can see the people with money. I mean, that's what I would do if I started collecting more money. I would say, let's kind of stick together, because we kind of need each other as shields per se, long term. But I was itching for some money. I was ready for it.
Yes, you're trying to steal Justine's bank.
I know. No, that would have only been the positive outcome against going against them. I did not want to go against them.
Yeah, Justine's been such a great character so far this season. I've really enjoyed her on the show. Another question I had for you, you've played with these guys now. You've seen a little bit of how they intermingle and work in partnerships. You mentioned Ben as someone that adapted well to partners, which I think is an understated skill sometimes when it comes to the challenge, because especially in a season such as this, where you've got different partners every single week, who else do you think from this season would transfer really well to the Amazing Race? Who do you think has the skills to do well there?
I actually think Shannon, surprisingly. Like, I think her head wasn't in it at first, but when she's in it, she's in it. Like, she had a really good conversation with Angela, and you only got to see a brief minute of it, but she had Angela kind of spooked, because she's like, oh, Shannon's a competitor, and she's very athletic, which I don't think a lot of people realized. But just the dynamic she had with me, she's someone that's never going to give up on her partner. She saw how badly I wanted to be there, and she was able to completely shift her focus and adapt to be where I was at this point in the competition. So I think Shannon would actually do pretty well, depending on who her partner is. Who else? I really think Tyson can do good at any show he does. It's so annoying.
I'm so obsessed with him.
It's annoying because he knows it. That's why it's annoying.
He's just gifted at everything he does. I think Tasha would do really well on Amazing Race. I think more of the survivors, personally.
It's really funny that everybody's been calling Big Brother players sneaky. I think Survivor players are also equally as sneaky. You know, they had to hide off in the bushes and they're voting someone off right to their face, lying tribal councils, live tribals. And so why do you think that Big Brother gets more of a bad rap in that regard as opposed to Survivor?
That's a really good point. I think with Big Brother, and this is just from my observation in the house, a lot of times if there was a group conversation happening somewhere, one Big Brother person would pop up at one point or another and just sit there. Even if we're not talking game, they would just pop themselves into a conversation, or they're pretending to nap just so they could hear what's going on around them. So to me, that's sneaky behavior, where I think with Survivor, they're a little bit more forward with what they're doing. And it's like, okay, like they're just being strategic. So I think that would be the comparison between the two, is how you go about the gameplay.
That's very sneaky. Okay. That makes sense.
Big Brother, they're lounging in their house most of the time. So they have to get creative. And that's, I'm going to pretend to sleep, or I'm going to pretend to cook food, or I'm going to just pretend to wash my hands in the sink because I can see. Like, that's sneaky behavior. And I did it too, so I can't fault them. I get it.
Point proven. Like, I got it. It's hilarious, though.
This question is kind of in line with one that I wanted to ask you, James, but I'm going to, I guess, twist it a little bit. But they're asking if you would rather play in the Flagship show, the MTV version of it, or the Challenge USA again, which I'm assuming, like you said, your opportunities, you're open to whatever comes up in the future. I do want to twist it slightly, and feel free if I didn't do the question justice to add to that if you've got a preference either way. But who from the main show do you feel like would have been a great addition to this season? And do you want to see more of some of these MTV legends cross over with some of the CBS legends in a season in the future?
I think it's only a matter of time until we see a clash of the two. So I think that'll come eventually, for sure. If I had to choose between the two, I think I would continue doing the CBS version. Nothing against the MTV one. I just feel like so many of those people come back time and time again, and it's usually the same people you see at the end. Like, no one's really willing to like make moves. No one's really willing to adapt. Like, it's just like, let's just let the veterans steamroll the game and like bow down to them. Like, it's very one note. It feels very always veterans versus rookies. And I'm kind of tired of that personally, where I think if you do the Challenge USA, even if I go back a second time, it doesn't mean veterans are going to stick together of the USA version. People are, with the Survivor, Big Brother, Amazing Race, Love Island shows, I think are going to be more open to adapting to whatever format's thrown their way. And they're going to find ways to find new people to be beneficial to their game. So I think I would choose the USA version.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, I think subconsciously that's why some fans like myself and Chantal have had a lot of fun with this season, because it is new strategy. Like, even in this last episode where we see people go out there and do trivia, I feel like their fear of being out there doing the trivia and falling is a real fear, where you've got previous veterans that have done it so many times, that acted up for the cameras like, oh no, it's trivia day, it's going to be so scary. But they've done it so many times, they're used to it, where everything feels more authentic at the moment, with a lot of these cast members experiencing the game for the first time and learning it for the first time as well. Because obviously you can watch it, but then when you go out there and play it, it's two completely different things as well. And as someone that was a fan that watched it before you played it, what was your, you said that you sort of had, you judged Ben and Sarah incorrectly, and then you had a great relationship with them out there. Game-wise, what did you judge incorrectly in regards to what would have been difficult out there and what wasn't so difficult out there? What was the differences between reality and expectation going into it?
I think that's a great question, but I think that I expected the challenges to be what they were. Like, I was never like, oh my God, I can't do this. I just think that I had a really bad run on the show. I'll be the first to admit that. And it's really unfortunate. I don't feel like I really was able to show what I could bring to the show as a competitor. Like, the moment I fell in the buoy challenge on my back, what you didn't see is I kept going up that ladder 7 more times and kept falling over and over again. Like, I never stopped, but because I fell on my back, I couldn't grip anymore. Like, no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't get back on the buoy. So if I didn't fall, I really think Kayla and I would have done a lot better in that. So it's not like I never felt like I couldn't do something that I was presented with on the challenge, but also not really my nature to see something and be like, I can't do this. This is too much. Like I was excited to do the challenges that the challenge had in store for us. So I don't really know. Does that answer your question?
No, it does. It does. Definitely. There's a lot of levels to this game. I think it's different to a lot of other shows that are out there, like Survivor and Big Brother is structured in a certain way where a lot of it is focused on the strategy so much. But there is the daily challenge. Then you can go into an elimination. You have different partners at different times. And then the seasons are not the same. So it's not like I've watched 20 seasons of the challenge. I'm guaranteed to know what the format is going to be coming into the season. So what format did you hope for? I'm assuming it wasn't the one that you got.
Yeah, if I had my choice, the algorithm should have gotten a virus. Someone should have hacked it and destroyed it from the jump. I think the algorithm is better suited for the main show because it breaks up the rookie veteran gameplay. I think that's what we need to see. So I think it would have been better suited for the flagship show. With this particular one, it's hard to say because I respect the algorithm for what it was. I think they were trying to break up pre-existing relationships, preventing any type of pre-gaming that might have happened with any of the other shows. Not confirming that there was or not. I have no idea, but I think that was the purpose, was to just cut all of that from the jump. But I think it's also, so I respected that for what it was, being only 3 of Amazing Racers, but also I hated it in the sense there was only 3 Amazing Racers, because no matter who we're partnered with, if we're not partnered with someone from a show that's in power, we're always an option to go in because there's no consequence to go against an Amazing Racer. Where had there been even shows, like even casting for all the shows, I think it would have been a lot more chaotic with the algorithm, just because there's no consequence taking shot at anybody because everyone's even from the jump. So I think the algorithm, let's put it over to the flagship show. For the USA version, given the shows Survivor and Big Brother, I would have loved to have seen more of a house vote. I would have loved to see more of a house deliberation, because that way it exposes everyone's cards. You get to know right from the jump where everyone stands, who's working with who, and then kind of assess a game from there. Where with the algorithm, it's really just the people in power who have the final say and who goes into elimination. The house doesn't really get to do anything. Where I think it's more dynamic socially to see everybody kind of come in and be like, what's going to happen? Who's going to go into elimination? Who should we push? I would have preferred more of an open format, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I always love the deliberations where they're going around and like you have to say out loud who you're putting in, because you could be making enemies, but then there could be somebody that you're teamed up with the next week. And so I think that I agree with you that it would have probably been a little bit more dynamic just to see people like, no, well, why should it be me? Or why, like defending their case in the live in the moment. I think it definitely would have had an added element, especially since all these people have been on shows before. So they know that they're going to be able to bring something to the table. So instead of it just being the 4 people talking and discussing potential options, it would have been great to have an open discussion so that everybody's piece would be heard. And if they didn't speak, that's also saying something as well. So you'd be able to gather a lot of information. So I agree with you.
I mean, you can keep the algorithm, still keep the algorithm, but just make the voting or something to determine who goes into elimination different. I think it also, I just think it would have been interesting seeing strategic shows like Survivor and Big Brother maneuvering that on this type of format. So who knows? Maybe I would personally love to see, because it's so show lines and that was kind of predicted. Like that's, I think, the obvious thing that people needed to do going into this. I would love to see a classic theme, like Battle of the Seasons, Battle of the Shows, something for season 2. Like, let's go back to more of an OG theme of the challenge that's very nostalgic, that a lot of people remember and loved. That's what I would like to see.
What's your gut telling you, James? Do you think that this is the start of more Challenge USA seasons to come in the future? You're closer to the ground, I guess, than any of us. It looks like the viewership numbers are doing great compared to even the main show. It's blowing it out of the park, which you'd expect for it being on CBS. Do you feel like we will see more shows coming forward in the seasons to come? And who do you endorse from the Amazing Race to even out the numbers in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's potential for this to come back, whether there's a global tournament attached to it or not. I think when you bring a lot of different household names in from Survivor, Big Brother, Amazing Race, and Love Island, it's exciting. Like as a fan, even if I wasn't on the show, I'd be glued to my TV. I would love watching this because it's like all these people that I've grown up watching coming together. So I think there's potential there. And I actually have been saying this for 2 years. I even tweeted it. I remember in April of last year, I was like, I would love to see CBS do a show or just a version of the challenge, but with CBS people. And I got so much hate from the challenge community. And I was like, I'm not saying I need a replacement. Like I would just like, I think there's something here for CBS because people are obsessed with these shows. There's such big fandoms behind it that it would just make sense for CBS to do something on their own. And then here we are. And I'm like, I got to do it, which is crazy. So I would love to see it continue. I would love to see more people in the mix. And there's so many amazing racers. So I really think would have been perfect for this show. And there's so many people to choose from all 4 shows.
Shout out to Dusty.
Oh, Dusty would have been great, but also so scary.
I know. That's why we want, as viewers, I don't know if as a player you wanted him there and with his crazy antics, but as a viewer, I definitely want to see it. Obviously, I've chatted to Dusty a few times off air as well. I know he is chomping at the bit to go out there and prove himself on the challenge. So if anybody from production is listening, give Dusty Harris a call.
He would be great. I would love to see like Krista DeBono from the cheerleaders from a few seasons ago. Corey Cool would have been awesome to have out there. Just to name a few. So I feel like there's so much potential with this show and I would love to see it come back for another season.
Are there any other reality shows that you maybe want to experience? I know you would say yes if you had the opportunity to come to you, but we have like Snake in the Grass that's starting. Traitor is starting. So there's new shows that are actually incorporating people that have played on previous reality shows. Right. Are there any that you're kind of like, that looks like it could be fun?
Yes, I'm obsessed with Snake in the Grass. I think the format's amazing, and I would love to play it with Tyson. Like, I think playing Snake with Tyson would be so much fun. So that would be a really great opportunity, but I really, like, if I had to pick anything, it would be Survivor. I would love the opportunity, and I really think Survivor, there's room for a format of Battle of the Shows on Survivor, too. You just get 3 or 4 different tribes with different people from these shows to represent, and duke it out on an island. So who knows what the future has in store, but I'm really open to anything. I just love strategic games.
So do we.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see you back on our screens at any show that you want to go and do. But Survivor, definitely, I'm the biggest Survivor fan on this panel. I'd love to see The Amazing Race, The Challenge, Big Brother, and Survivor players go head to head because those, in my mind, are the big ones. So if you get all of them together,
the big competition shows. Let's put it to rest. Let's see what show's the best. Like it just would be fun. So we'll see what the future holds.
It'll be interesting to see Big Brother people out there without the comfort of a home, without any food.
I know Rachel Riley's itching to do Survivor, and I think she'd be so fun to watch on Survivor. So
even Janelle said that she'd be interested in doing a Survivor as well. So
yes, there's so many great people that I think would fare really well on Survivor. So
well, it seems like whenever you say something, it's going to go into the ether as it exists. So maybe this is brewing for season 40 of Survivor. They're going to be doing Battle of the Shows Survivor style.
Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. But I just wanted to pop in and say hello to the 3 of you. I really love what y'all do. I love listening to your insight because you're just passionate about these shows as much as I am. So big supporter of all 3 of you. And I can't wait to hear what you think about the rest of the season. I think it's going to be amazing. So yeah, thank you for letting me join.
James, thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to jump on. Drew, you've been quiet the whole time. He's going to have the most important question of the evening. Go for it.
I'm just a fan. I just wanted to just hear whatever you had to say, James. I just wanted to ask one thing, and I saw your tweet about it, but how hard or how far back did your eyes roll when you heard Nicole say, "See you on The Amazing Race" last night when Amira got evicted?
It's a little cringe, because like you're on Big Brother. Just focus on the show you're on, and then maybe let's see what happens when you're off. But also, I don't feel like Amazing Race needs that many crossovers all the time. Like I don't think that it's necessary. So Nicole, respectfully, the world is not waiting for you. Enjoy Big Brother while you got it. Enjoy it.
Love it. Well, James, thank you so much for popping in. We really appreciate it. Hopefully sometime in the future we get to chat about something again. Yes, I will be covering The Amazing Race again, so maybe in the future we'll talk about that, if not the challenge. But thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Of course. Bye, y'all. Thank you so much.
Bye.
See you. Bye. That was James here on the live talking to us about the challenge. That's we've popped the cherry. We've had our first challenge player on the channel to talk about a current challenge season. So hopefully many to come in the future, and we'll have more challenge people in here. You know, I'm always open to talking to anyone. Luckily, we all love James, even though we didn't pick him. But I'm happy to talk to any of them, even the ones that necessarily get a lot of heat from us here. So if they ever listen to this, come on here, have a chat with us, and tell us what we're wrong. We're happy to change our minds, right, Chantel? Like even the Drew Humble Pie that James served us on this podcast.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely willing to talk to anybody because, like, I don't hate anybody as like the people. I'm just like the version of them that I'm seeing on my TV screen. I'm kind of like, you know, maybe I not like, or like I don't think that they're good strategists, or you know, it's something that could be proven. I could be proven wrong anytime. So I'm doing it with Kyland right now. I'm not a fan of Kyland, but he's put in the work. He's watched previous seasons, and you know, he's excelling, and so I appreciate that, and I can respect that. And so my, you know, not enjoying of Kyland in the beginning is kind of lessened. So.
Yeah, what I like about this, Drew, right, is you get the players coming on here and you get to see them. And James, thank you so much once again, just popping in the chat saying so much fun. We had a lot of fun as well. What I love about players jumping on and doing these, even if it's like short ones, is it does humanize the players to us, because at the end of the day, these are all human beings that are going out there playing the game. You get to know them a little bit. It's not the edit, you know, you actually see the real James, or, you know, the real whoever it is that jumps on these chats with us. So it's a lot of fun, Drew, to finally get to talk to someone that's actually on one of these seasons as we're recapping it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think this was such a fun surprise. I mean, honestly, Chris didn't tell us until like 10 minutes before we were supposed to come on. He sent the link, and then 30 minutes later, he's like, "Oh, by the way, James might pop in in the beginning, so just to let y'all know." It's like, okay, then. Thanks for the heads up.
Listen, I didn't know until probably about 30 minutes before going live. I was talking to James throughout the week, but I wasn't sure if CBS was going to allow for us to have a chat with him, because I've tried to have a chat with one or two Survivor players in the past, and it sadly didn't work out with CBS. But I've got no doubt, it's no shade at CBS, like it will work out in the future. There is a process with these things. They get one of them on the channel once, they see us interview them, they know what we're about and how we do it. I'm sure this will lead to more challenge contestants potentially in the future talking to us. But let's get into the episode, because we haven't really spoken too much about the episode. A lot went down here this episode. We spoke about some of those early pairings that formed. We definitely get the whole conversation happening between Sean and X, or Xavier, here early on, where Sean feels very comfortable that Xavier has got the Big Brother crew and that she has got the Survivor crew. So therefore, they're probably going to be safe this episode. Boy, oh boy, how wrong was Sean in her assessment here this episode, and she did not understand the willingness of some of these Big Brother players to take out some revenge on X here this episode, Chantel.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, it's really dividing people, and I'm not exactly sure where I stand yet, because I was kind of taking the side. It's like, well, she has this revenge story that she probably has to have play out. You know what I mean? I feel like when she's in the casting process, she's probably like, this is what I'm going to bring to the table. That's what I'm assuming that people that are returning to a series is going to be bringing, like, well, this is what's going to be going on in my storyline. And so I feel like since we started this whole season, we've been talking about revenge, and we have Derek X being like, revenge. I really didn't see her not taking the opportunity if that was going to be the case. And so a lot of people think it's too early, and now she's left unprotected. But I'm like, but she's been partners with Tyson. Tyson wants her to make this move. She's running it by Angela. And so there's so many people that are saying yes to this move that I think that it might actually be okay for her. And she gets to live through the storyline. She gets her revenge back. And she also gets to be kind of like redeemed as somebody that was able to execute a plan in TJ's eyes. TJ's been talking so much about Alyssa, about how she could be going on the main show and this and that. And I think it's because she brought something to the show. She brought a huge storyline and she executed her plan. So I'm of two minds, because maybe it's too early, but I think that she had to take the shot when she had it. So it's kind of hard to say though. We won't be able to tell if it's like a good move until we see if she wins or not.
Or I mean, makes it far. I mean,
right.
If you want to be spoiled a little bit, don't go on her Twitter, because she kind of lets you know how kind of deep she goes into the game. But I personally think that it's too early of a move. But I have to say that, do I like blindsides? Yes. Do I like people making power moves? Yes. Do I think it's going to blow up in her face? Of course I do. I think it's going to happen soon because of what Cache was saying later in this episode to Shan, where they were talking and Cache was like, Love Island is fully with Survivor. We can't trust Big Brother. We heard James just talk about why the whole cast can't trust Big Brother. And then we heard from Shan and Cache's when they were saying like Big Brother's talking smack behind each other's backs at every single point, every single conversation. So if they can't trust each other from the same show, why are we going to trust them? And that's a good point about Alyssa too, because I'm sure Xavier was saying like, look, I got Alyssa. We're going to have each other's backs. We're 100%. She's my closest ally. And then the next turn, she's throwing Xavier in without a bead of sweat coming off her brow. So it's going to be one of those things of like, how can we trust her when she's doing that to her supposed best friend or somebody that considered her a close ally in this game? What is she going to do to me, a stranger that she's met 2 days ago, 4 days ago, kind of thing?
I do have to say though, like I haven't played one of these shows in like a real show, but I have played live versions of these shows, or like online versions that have been long, so 90 days, 100 days. So it's like actually having like a really full experience where you do either make really good relationships and whatnot. And I've been like lied to before, and it still really stings. And so I'm wondering if like she feels as though this is a way for her to absolve that feeling of betrayal. Like she understands that it was for a particular mission. She understands that she was just a casualty in a bigger plan, and she's okay with that, but it's still the sting of someone that you trusted for so long able to just do that to you. It probably really hurts. And so this is her way of maybe making herself potentially feel a little bit better about that. So I can understand her having this emotional response and wanting to fix that and hoping that, this blindside is going to make her feel a little bit better.
Yeah, a lot of thoughts on this one. Let me just read a couple of lives out here. Taj is saying that on the Challenge podcast, Alyssa said that she was close with the Love Island girls, so she did have some other allies coming into the game. Lil Smurfy here says that, to be honest, Kyland on the main show would become one of the better players from Big Brother, better than Paulie and Fessy. And I feel a bit justified when it comes to his ability as an athlete coming into this, because I did say in the beginning this guy could potentially be dangerous, and I think physically he's going to stack up. He's going to do really well. He's won 2 dailies now, equal with Angela and also Tyson, and Megamind being part of his trio today. It was a really funny comment from Sean there for anybody who's ever watched that. But, looking at Kyland's performances here, he is doing extremely well on this challenge. Do you think that he is someone that potentially, he's in that age bracket, he could easily transfer? And if he does go there, Chantal, you've got a very negative view on that. Is that because you just think he's going to become Fessy's biggest friend if he goes there, and then it becomes the Fessy and Kyland show?
It's going to strengthen the Big Brother numbers, and these are not the Big Brother players that I want to have strengthened in there.
That's fair.
But also, I guess one of my biggest problems with watching Kyland play Big Brother is him strategizing with people and how he had one-on-one conversations with people. And he very much felt as though he was always in the right, and he was just kind of like telling people how smart he was and how his way is the right way. And I just don't know if I want to listen. Like, I was watching the live feeds, and there was so many times where I had to like sit and listen to him have one-on-ones with so many people all day long. It was exhausting, so exhausting that the players didn't want to have him be head of household once again because they didn't want to experience his reign. So I'm just feeling as though I don't know if I can put myself through hearing him strategize on another show. He could be physical and athletic, but we haven't really heard him talk and strategize that much on the Challenge CBS so far. So maybe that's why he's more palatable to me, but I just can't hear him strategize.
The one move he did make was a move to get rid of X here. And I agree with Drew that it's, it may work out for him in the long run, but it's too early. Like, they don't have the biggest number advantage yet in this game. Survivor is still a very, very big threat, and it's a large looming threat in the game. And it's got Tyson even in this episode saying, wow, these guys are playing the game for me. They're keeping the Survivor strong numbers for me. I don't even have to do anything. I can sit back and just run the game with this. So I feel like he's playing right in the hands of someone like a Tyson in this game, even an Angela to a certain degree, who I think has connected well with Tyson in the Survivor group and is not fully seen as core big brother in this season, Drew.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of said it. I think Xavier leaving this week and this early helps Kyland's game 100%. Alyssa's game, I don't know about that. I think Kyland was going to come into the game, even though Xavier was like, oh, we were working on our differences or what happened on Big Brother. I still think that Kyland, he's competitive. I mean, Chantel was just talking about his personality and the way he was on Big Brother. There's something in the back of his mind that was saying, I need to get him before he gets me, like he did in Big Brother. So I think he was wanting to do this move. I just think it helps out Kyland and all the guys more so than Alyssa. And I would love to see an X's season. And let's bring in Xavier and Alyssa. Let's do it. Let's do it on the main season. Let's go. I would rather see Xavier on the main season than Kyland, in my opinion. I think Xavier's built better for the main season. And also, he's rich. So if he can get more money, he can be millionaire. He can be millionaire X over there. So let's do it. We need another Big Brother winner over on the main season besides Josh. I can't handle it.
Casey.
No, I mean Big Brother winner.
Casey's a Big Brother winner.
The win. No,
Casey
won on Big Brother. They won on Big Brother. We need another Big Brother winner over there.
Casey did win on.
Casey
Big
won
Brother.
season 20.
She beat Tyler. Angela's
shoot! Yeah, that's right.
We're just like, what are you talking about, Drew?
Yeah, I forgot.
She's the first. She's the second. Sorry, she's
won.
the second big. Well, I guess the first Big Brother and Challenge winner. It does get confusing with all this overlap of different shows. George here, or I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Jorge.
Okay, Jorge here says that Xavier called them trash in an interview, and then also here Anthony saying that so Xavier is mad that he got blindsided by the same person he blindsided in Big Brother 23. That makes a lot of sense, and that's where different people are sitting on this one, where some people are feeling that Xavier's frustration is justified, and other people are saying that it's not justified.
He said, "Make that make sense." So it doesn't make sense to him.
Yeah, and I agree. It's like there's both sides to this argument. Some people are team X for his frustration, and other people are against it because of how it went down. I think the people that are against it don't see this as a smart move at this point. But Xavier, he's got an option here to take it on the chin or not, and it does look like he's taking it quite personally. Do you think, Chantel, that he will be leaving the cookout chat when he gets home, like Alyssa said?
So Sarah from Nerdtainment did ask that question, and he said no, he's still in that chat. So he has not left the chat as of yet.
That was a funny comment. I feel like there's more blindsides. I feel like there's more blindsides to come from Derek and Alyssa, because they're really heavily leaning into this Derek and Alyssa alliance and saying all the cookout members did them dirty. And I've got a feeling that Alyssa, like, she played with Kyland here, but Kyland better watch out his back, because Drew, I wouldn't be surprised if Alyssa just keeps going down that list and takes out the remaining two cookout members here in both Kyland and Azza.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of wondering, if this stops the whole revenge plot, because Tiffany, who was butting heads with Alyssa, is out, and now Xavier, Alyssa seemed very like focused on those two in particular. I wonder if that just didn't register in Kyland's mind, being like, yeah, let's get out of Xavier. We already got Tiffany out. And then wait a minute. What's this pointing at me? Am I in this alliance?
Am I a cookout? Am I going to take it out?
Who's Kyland's numbers at this point? Like, who does he have? Like, I just don't see who. That's why I'm still confused about X being voted out here. You said it's a good thing for him, but I do think X wasn't fearing Kyland or fearing running against Kyland in the end. So I'm worried for Kyland. I just don't know who he's got. Who's he talking to? That's the thing. If I had one criticism, we all love the Challenge USA this season. It is a lot of fun seeing new cast members experiencing the game. A lot of it, like I said, with the daily trivia felt very authentic because they're legitimately scared for their lives having to do this for the very first time. But the one criticism I have, and maybe it's because the show is only 40 minutes, is I feel like we're missing so much of the personal connections, the socializing, like who does Kyland have? I don't fully understand. Tyson and Angela is close, but who else does Tyson talk to? Why does he still feel okay with Survivor? There's just so many questions that I have right now that I just don't have a handle on the house right now, Chantel.
I think that they're doing that so things are blindsides. So that the audience are like, oh my God, I didn't know that would happen. Like, it seems like they're keeping us in the dark for the surprise effect. And so I also wish, that I love this. If I'm watching Big Brother and seeing people sit in a house 24/7, like, I definitely want to see house dynamics. Absolutely. I want to see people strategizing, but they seem to be doing that. Like, they didn't do it last episode, shockingly, but that flashback of like, oh, this is the strategy that went down to let us come to this conclusion of who we're throwing in. I don't particularly like that. I would prefer to go on the journey and like kind of come to that discovery at the end, depending on whether or not the other people know about it. Like, I want to go on the journey with it. You don't need to hide it from me, the audience. I'm with you. Like, I want to follow the strategy. I don't want to be surprised and shocked. So I'm with you. I do wish that they showed more house dynamics. I wish they showed more club scenes. I wish that, we could see who likes who's going to be bad to be paired up in this algorithm. I want to know, like, ooh, that could be a bad pair. Like, what are they going to do next? So yeah, I'm definitely with you there.
I want to just drop two things. I think this helps Kyland's game in one effect, because if he deems Xavier as a real big threat, Kyland's already won 2 daily challenges. If he takes out a really strong competitor, a guy competitor, that just ups his chances and value and possibly winning more daily challenges down the line. Mm-hmm. That's what I think. Also, if he thinks Xavier's ever going to come after him, he takes out that threat earlier rather than later, when he gets paired up with, say, a Love Island contestant or somebody on the bottom rung. To the point of possibly being unpredictable, I felt that this episode was super predictable in the edit that was given. In the first 8 minutes, I could have told. I could tell who won the daily challenge, who would go into the elimination both times,
and who's the story was about. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like 8 minutes in. I would rather it be super unpredictable. Like, just keep on not showing David in the confessionals to make me not think that they're going to go in. Don't show me Justine scared. And then I'm waiting for Red is Not a Flavor's new video where the challenge is out of context. And we hear Shan going, we're really insulated. We're each other's insurance policies. And then all of a sudden a cut to her, TJ saying, you've been eliminated from the challenge. Take care. And then the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme song playing over the credits as she's walking out of the arena. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. Prince Malhi here says, Tyson said on his podcast that he was working with Kyland and how he felt bad that he didn't tell Kyland about voting in TIFF, but felt it would be better if Kyland didn't know. And then also Daniel here saying that I think Kyland would outperform any main show or CBS BB players. He has brains, can run, and is shrewd enough to take out big threats. So yeah, I mean, listen, I'm again, I don't have the jadedness of Kyland on Big Brother that's hanging over me. I hear that he was bad on there. From what I'm seeing on the challenge, he's so far not bad. Like, I'm enjoying him. He's winning stuff for me. He's in my team. I need him to win things because I need to catch up on Chantel. We will talk about the points towards the end of this. But coming back to what I'm went into with the whole dynamics within the house and how people are getting along. Like, I mean, James telling us on this very live right here today that he had this wrong view of Ben and Sarah, I think is a penny drop moment for a lot of us where we're like, well, wouldn't it have been great to see this different side to Ben or Sarah? Because when you see Sarah in the confessionals, she's not coming across like, I mean, I've got her as my number one girl, but she's not coming across as likable when she's going in as hard on Derek for not doing well. And I don't know if it's because she's a cop in real life. She's not really an entertainer, so she doesn't know how to talk to the camera in a way where it is entertaining, and she might think that it's funny and she's playing this character, but it's coming across as a little bit I don't know, petty maybe. I don't know. It just didn't sit right with me, Chantal, her confessionals about Derek, because he's such a lovely guy and she's just going on really hard. Like she chose violence when she spoke about him.
I'm not sure about Sarah, and I would like to see a little bit more about her, especially since we do see her having some sort of relationship with Cache, and Cash is telling her about her Cinco saga, and she seems to be listening, and a lot of times they've been interacting. So maybe it's because Derek X is Big Brother, and maybe Big Brother just has like the sneaky stink on them that nobody wants to really work with them. And if if you're a sneaky stinker and you aren't really physically that capable, like maybe that's why Sarah is kind of coming for him. Because it seems like she is getting along with at least Cache and maybe some of the other Love Island people. So I'm wondering if it's just because he is Big Brother, and so then she's not really seeing like his good qualities. I don't know.
I wonder if in the middle of TJ saying it's going to be a trivia challenge and then them walking to get harnessed in, that Derek was like, I got this. Trivia is my thing. I don't know if I could run very far or pick up a heavy log, but I can answer some trivia questions. I feel like I got this. And then to go out on the first question is tough. And now you're in the losers round. And we know Sarah, she doesn't take losing well. So I think that could have played a factor into it. Kind of like how Shannon wasn't excited to be paired up with Cinco on a trivia challenge. She's like, really?
They did okay.
I feel like I wasted Cinco here. Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's interesting. So let's talk a little bit about the daily. What did you guys think about it? Trivia is something that challenge fans get excited about because we love seeing people wipe out, fall from high places, TJ laughing at people as they get the answers wrong, and we all think that we're smarter than them and that we could have answered it correctly if we were up there. But to me, a couple of things stood out. Firstly, it was fun to see them freak out because this was legitimately the first time that they had to do something like this. So I felt like it was authentic. And then secondly, I was shocked at how smart these people were. They were getting a lot of correct answers compared to the main show. There's definitely levels to this thing. And I feel like maybe this is a smarter cast overall because they were going back and forth for what felt like forever on some of those questions. It went on for quite a bit.
So, I mean, I definitely enjoyed it, and I thought that everybody did quite well. I've been trying to decide whether or not I prefer everybody getting a different kind of question, instead of these, like, there's only 10, and obviously there's going to be the first 5 that everybody knows, and then it gets a little bit more challenging. So I'm just not sure if I like that better, or if I liked it's just completely random questions, like going around and around and around. So I love trivia. I thought it was really fun. But I guess I just wanted to see them answer more different questions. Just want to see like their range, you know what I mean? I want to see them have to dig deep into different subjects.
Yeah. So I really enjoy this style of
so you like
trivia.
It.
I really like how it was presented in the Challenge All-Stars season 2. I really enjoyed how that was played up. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was funny. Of course, that cast had a lot of random answers. They were a lot of nervous people there. I think this one just did not hit because people are smart. And I really was hoping for a Dutch moment. I was hoping for a really stupid answer, and it just didn't come. I was like, Enzo's going to be gold here. He's going to say something dumb. Somebody's going to really have a really bad answer. And I just didn't think that there was really any bad answers. I mean, there's people that got it wrong, but I think the dumbest answer was Dom thinking that sharks aren't animals, they're fish, which they are, and fish are animals. They're not plants or anything like that. Like, what are you talking about, dude?
Bizarre.
But it was fun. I thought it was fun, but I do think that for this kind of season, I would have rather had them get a single question each, to where we could have a dumb answer, like we used to get in like Free Agents and all that stuff. Because I think that would have played a more factor than saying somebody getting something wrong in Currency, which doesn't come off as very funny in some ways. But I love the dropping of the trap door. That was really fun.
I love
Cinco's expression.
Cinco, exactly. Cinco was so scared.
I think Cinco was with Shannon, right? And when that first one dropped, and he's like, all you hear is this wire going, shh, down as they're falling next to him. That was really legitimate. That was enjoyment for me. I enjoyed that. I also enjoyed that David finally got a confessional about Sandra Bullock to give Drew some points and being like, I don't know what movies she played in, but Sandra Bullock. So boom, straight after that, he's falling down. It was, I think, still there was some fun in this, but I agree with Drew. It's because, the trapdoor was amazing. Seeing people freak out and do it. Cachet, like her fear. Then at the end, when Kyland and Alyssa won, and Kyland's like, "Are you going to drop us as well?" He wants to go down, and Alyssa's like, "No," and she's shaking up there. Like, I mean, there was some cool moments. It was different to what we were used to in the main show, which is normally laughing at the contestants and feeling like we're smarter. Like we would have gotten all of it right out there. But David does not end up winning here, and he's the other person that they're going to be targeting here for this season as well, to go straight into an elimination with, well, I guess they're the last team here, so they go straight into elimination in any case. So with David going in there, he drags Justine, who's been a superstar for me this season. I've really enjoyed her this season. He drags her down with him, and she says, I'm trying to like him. I'm trying not to let other people's opinions get to me, but he is just not well connected. He's not getting along with anyone in the house. How much hope that both of you have for David going into this elimination? I won't lie, I was kind of hoping that X and Sean was going to pull it out so that there would be more chaos in the house, opposed to what's David going to bring to the house?
That's true. I think I was personally rooting for Justine, because I think that Justine, I really want to see her do well this season. And so the fact that she has money, she's qualified to run the final, and she just has to like get through being partnered with David, and she probably will get to run that final. And so I kind of was just rooting for her to be living out this experience. She, if I'm not mistaken, she has auditioned for Survivor before, so competitive reality is something that she's interested in. And so to see that she was excelling on this show, I didn't want it to be taken away just because of the fact that she's paired with somebody that hasn't been doing that well so far. So I was definitely rooting for Justine and David at this point, but I totally understand for drama's sake that the other two being like, you thought you could put us down and we're coming right back and we're coming for you now, which is what the threat that Xavier did give them. Like, well, if you throw me in, I'm coming back and coming for you too. So that would have been nice to see if it played out that way, obviously for entertainment purposes, but I'm happy that Justine gets to potentially run a final.
100% the algorithm would have paired Xavier and Alyssa together if that was the case. And that would have been pretty entertaining. I wasn't surprised that David, well, I wasn't worried for David and Justine because I did a shot for shot trailer breakdown and I knew I saw David in other daily challenges. So I was just kind of like sitting there going like, who are they going to be going up against? And once we got to that elimination, I was like, wow, they're really going to take out Xavier and Shan on a puzzle. If you would have told me weeks ago that David was going to go into an elimination against Xavier and Shan and beat them in a puzzle, mainly with the help of Justine, but I'm just talking about David here, just going into an elimination and winning, let alone winning. I mean, wow. I was shocked. I was pretty shocked. Yeah, it's points. He gets me almost to double digits. Woo! Let's go.
Woo! Well, and also, you know what, though? I did like seeing after the elimination that he was really excited and really proud of himself. And he was like giving props to Justine, being, no, that was you. And like, you know, he's probably had to live up to all the scrutiny of all of us for his both previous seasons. And people being like, why is he here? Why is he on the show? Like, he doesn't bring anything. And, you know, we don't know what he's seen or not seen. And so I'm sure there's a part of him that really would just like to prove something to himself and to all of us that like he deserves to be here too. So I also felt good about him getting that reward as well.
Yeah. I've got some sort of a digger or something outside doing some work. So I wasn't sure if it was getting into the mic, but someone's doing work on a Saturday afternoon right next to my house. Oh, that's good. That's good to know. So I guess I agree with you on that. And I really enjoyed him giving a lot of that credit to Justine and saying, you know, Justine did all of this. She was amazing. She's better than most of these people that are on the main show, you know, giving a little bit of fighting words there, which I like. You know, I'm a big fan of Justine as well. I want to see her go over to the main show. She's one of the both Justine and Cash have been the two most pleasant shocks for me this season, because I didn't know anything about them coming into the season. I'm not a Love Island fan, as we all know, but I endorse both of them just based on their character, what they bring from a TV standpoint to the show. It's been exciting to see them grow and be in the challenge. And even this episode, Cash and Enzo being a partnership was funny and hilarious to see in itself as well, because I'd never thought I would see a world where those two would be partnering together in a trivia day as well. So that was amazing. But there was two very different strategies used here in the elimination. So obviously they had to hit through these glass panes, but if you hit your partner's one, that would be a 10-second penalty, I believe, for each one that you did. 5 seconds.
Like 5 each. Yep. So 10 for if you broke them both.
Yeah, so do we believe that the 40-second difference, because there was a 50-second penalty on X for punching through all of it, and there was a 10-second penalty on, I believe, David and Justine for this. Do you believe the 40 seconds was the difference here, or was it just that much of a blowout when they got to it? Because they were pretty equal throughout it. I think the 40 seconds was the difference in getting started with this puzzle. Both X and Sean, both good at puzzles. Derek getting cold feet, trying to get Alyssa last minute to change that due to the puzzles coming up there. She didn't have a choice. She had to follow through because all the wheels were in motion here. Do we think that was the main, I guess, differentiator between them?
It seems like it was. I can't really tell what the time frame was. But it seems like if they had that extra 30 seconds or whatever, they might have been able to switch around a couple of pieces and get the win. So if it were me, what I've learned from this is that I would be fast but meticulous, because saving all the time that you can, I think, would be the way to go in the future. I don't know if you would do that same strategy again.
Yeah, I think they were noble in trying. They were going high risk, high reward at that point, because coming from two players who are pretty good at puzzles. I mean, Shan is coming from Survivor. Xavier knows a thing or two about puzzles and being smart. And I'm sure they looked at, okay, there's David. He hasn't really won much on either of his seasons on Big Brother. And then you have Justine, who was on Love Island. Let's just break through all these panes of glass, just eat up all the penalty, and we should be able to make up our own time with how quick we go. And then maybe we won't have as much of a time penalty. And they did. They shaved off a little bit. I mean, they had less than 30 seconds. They had to wait, but it was just not enough. They just did not, they weren't able to make up that time. And I think if they did have that 20 to 30 seconds, because if they would have broken the glass back and forth, they would have been right on par probably with David and Justine. And then at that point, it's just whoever has the better puzzle skills. And it's not necessarily about the time difference, because 30 seconds is significant compared to a 5 or 10 second difference if they would have just tried to play by more of the rules and have less penalties.
Yeah. One of the things as well that for me was quite interesting with getting them going down there is that, Angela gave them the plan of saying that Sean is the real person that they're going after, not X. Did they really think it was going to fool anyone? That's my question. This is their second time on a reality TV show. Why did they think that people would think that that is the main reason that they threw X down there? Everybody knows that it's because they wanted to take a shot back at him for doing what he did. And Alyssa's openly spoken about this to a lot of the Love Island girls already in the house. So I feel like there's enough people in the house that knows the real plan. And was it just because they didn't have the courage to tell X that's what they were doing? They just weren't facing up to their actions in the specific spot, and it was like a cheap way to get out of it and to face Xavier while he's still in the game.
I think it was probably, if they came back, just be like, it would just be able to be a bit of a cover and just be like, honestly, it was because of who you were with. Shan's coming for me. She doesn't want me in this game. It was my opportunity to get her out. It wasn't specifically you. It sucks that you're partnered with her. I think it was just to be able to have something to say if they did make it out of the elimination.
Exactly. Damage control.
Yeah. I've seen quite a few people here in the live stream talk about Kiki and getting Kiki on the show with Danny for Bloodlines. Do we endorse this? I've never actually seen Danny's wife, Kiki, but I'd be the amount of time that he's talking about her, and it's really cool to see the love that he has for her, because he does bring it into all of his decision making and thinking for day-to-day challenges. But do we endorse this Kiki, Danny, Bloodlines the challenge season, I guess, partnership or duo.
Of course they
It'd be
do.
awesome.
And like, I'm worried though, if he gets a Skype call with Kiki, if that might be his episode that he goes out. So
Let's not put that out in the universe.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did just tonight. I'm sorry. I'm just like worried because he mentions her all the time. And like, it's seeming like everything that gets talked about, we're going to see the episode where that gets resolved, right? At the beginning, we saw this being worked out with these two. And like, I don't know, I'm just feeling like he talks about her all the time. And I thought it was going to be that Shan was going to take him out, but we didn't see that scenario come through. But I don't know, like, I don't know. Something's going to happen.
The one, yeah, you go ahead, Drew, and I'll say what I was going to say next.
Oh, I was just going to throw this out there. If they were on a season together, what would Danny say in his confessions? I mean, Kiki's already there talking in her confessions. What is he going to say? What she said. That's all he's. Yeah. What she said. What my wife said.
I was gonna add to this something completely went out of my the other storyline, the other foreshadowing that's happening currently, because you mentioned the whole Kiki, Danny, will we see that play out down the line? The other one that I'm picking up quite a bit is that I feel like it's more than one episode now where Sarah has had a go at Leo. So is Leo going to be Sarah's downfall ultimately in the game? Because they've not been paired up together yet. She doesn't like him too much. He's a bit weird with the cat stuff. And then she's saying that a lot of people are saying he doesn't take anything seriously when it comes to the daily challenges. So he's not dependable. So I feel like there's a storyline hidden there with a Sarah-Leo matchup at some point that's going to come back, because they do these things for a reason. Have you guys picked up on that as well?
I didn't, but now that you mention it, I'm like, yep. Like that's definitely something that's going to come to play for sure. They don't leave. They have so much footage. They do not leave these things in the episode, in the edit, like if it's not going to have some value later on. So they're preparing us for something for sure.
Yeah. I would,
all right. Well,
I would almost say like
Drew?
wait for next episode will probably be Leo going into an elimination or something
That
to that
quickly?
effect. I mean, that's what I think. I think there's something that's playing off with Leo. He's taking off his shoes weird in one of the daily challenges. Then we have this Catwoman question where Desi's saying everybody is uncomfortable with him and nobody wants to be paired up with him, and he's not really getting along with everybody. I can just see it coming to fruition if he gets like a Love Island partner, that they're going to be sent into an elimination sooner rather than later, is what I think they're building up on. Because I think they were building up Shan for 2 episodes up for this elimination. So I almost think that they're doing the same thing with Leo in that way as well.
Yeah,
which
it's good.
Great.
A good point.
That would be awesome for my team. Cool. I just realized that. Dag nabbit.
Well, I was gonna, before you started talking about Leo, I was gonna bring up the teams here as we start looking at who we've lost this week and go into more of the points. Obviously, here in this week, you've got both your 2 of your top people here. Your second pick for females this season, and Sean being out, and also the second pick for the men, and Xavier that's out. So for the first time ever, Drew, I'm seeing you sweat here in one of these drafts. You normally dominate by this time of the season. It's going to be an interesting season with things going in a little bit in a different direction. Chantel is the person who's dominating at this point when it looks at the amount of people that are still there in her team. She's got all the numbers. But what are we looking at points-wise, Drew, at the moment?
So after my team cannibalized each other for this past week's episode, I actually went up 40 total points. I'm finally in the triple digits. I have 117 points, which barely went over Chantel's total from last episode. So she went up way more on this week. But I'm in third place with 117 with Justine as my number 1 performer. Justine is queen, is going to be the shirt out after I put out John A. Slays or John A. all day. But Justine has 29 total points, and then Danny has 14 total points. They're my top 2 performers. In second place, we have Chris going up 31 total points from 109 to 140. Your number 1 person is Kyland, who also has 29 points, and also Alyssa, who has 26 points now.
Wow.
Big brother domination over there. But of course, number 1 spot is Chantel, up by 21 points. So only 21 points. You went from 115 to 130. Wait. Oh, Chris is in first place. Oh my gosh. Whoa.
What?
What?
This is unfamiliar territory.
I got confused.
It's very unfamiliar
I instantly
territory.
saw your green name tag and was like, oh, he's definitely in second if I'm in third. Wow. So coming in second place, we have Team Chantel with 136 points. You have Tyson, who's the number 1 point scorer right now with 31 total points. Angela is Cachet is your second highest point scorer with 23 total points. Angela has 20. And number 1 team, already spoiled, but Team Chris with 140 points, with Kyland as your highest point scorer with 29 and Alyssa with 26. I'm so sorry for that, Chris. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just you're
tough.
used
Yeah.
to like either Tyson or Angela winning there. So he got the double points for having both of them on his team. I'll come back and take some points away from Chris. Okay, that's who I'm battling
I'm loving
now.
it.
All right.
You see, I picked the survivor heavy team so that I could dominate with Big Brother players. It's all the long game. I was playing the long game, throwing you guys off, going for survivor players first, and then my later players were like, how many Big Brother players do I have? I've got 3 Big Brother players there, 2 of them dominating at this point. I feel pretty good about that at this stage, but there's still a long game, and I do think that both Alyssa and Kyland have just painted massive, gigantic targets on their back. And I do think that if it comes to that battle between Alyssa, Kyland, Tyson and Angela, I fear for myself, they're the better game players. So I'm worried that this could very quickly turn around, and Chantel, you should still feel pretty comfortable at this point.
Who do you think, do you guys know offhand who they have left to be partnered with? Like which of the guys has Alyssa not been with? Do we have any idea right now? So I'm wondering if she's going to be protected by her next few partners, because that could also be why she made the move, being like, okay, well, no matter what, the next guys that I'm going to be with are going to be people that are going to be protecting me. So, because I don't think she's been with Ben yet, has she?
Yes.
I think she has. I think she's been with Ben. She's been with Dom. No,
She's
sorry,
been
not
with Dom.
Dom. She has, right?
No.
So
No.
she's been with Kyland, Tyson, and Ben.
And Enzo.
Enzo. So
Enzo was the first episode.
So that means she still has to go with Cinco still, maybe Derek X, Leo. Okay, she has quite a few people that she could maybe do poorly with. Never mind. My logic.
Okay, I have it up
double.
right here. She's
Right
been,
here.
oh my gosh, that's a giant ad. Holy crap. She's been Ben, Enzo, Tyson, Kyland. So yeah, we were right. Ben, Enzo, Tyson, Kyland. I mean, those 4 are really strong as of right now. Like, they're not on anybody's radar. So her taking out X, I don't know. It makes me worried again, because I think X would have been a better partner. She has a tough, besides Danny and I guess Cinco. I mean, it's going to be tough sledding here with partners, I feel, for the rest of her go.
Depending what it is, though, Derek X could be good at something as well. If it's anything, maybe balancy or whatnot. Leo, same. I don't know. She might be okay.
That's a very small team.
Partnered with David. I think that David might be the worst for her.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
That is the worst. That's the worst outcome for her at this stage. But I think we have gotten to the end of this podcast, and we've spoken about pretty much everything that we can for this episode. We had a very surprising guest jump in, which was a lot of fun here early on with James jumping in. So if you're jumping into this late and only listening to the recap bit, if you want to hear more about James and his experience on the challenge, go back to the start of the podcast for about the first 35 minutes he was on to talk about his experience out there. That was a lot of fun. Chantel and Drew, is there anything that you feel like we did not talk about? Is there anything like burning that you want to talk about? I feel like we touched on all the main points.
I don't think so. I feel like we got to it all. Drew, you talk, and I'm going to look at my notes.
Drew,
I was going to say that I think we got it all taken care of.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah. So going into next episode, I didn't really see much of the next on bit because I kind of skipped over it both times. I had so many episodes to watch here. Is there anything exciting that we know is coming up for the next on?
Oh, I don't remember what was on it.
Swimming.
Oh, right.
They're
So
jumping
Tyson's
into the
gonna do
murky pond, and they're like getting letters, it looks like. So I don't know if it's going to be another word Scrabble or something, but it seems like there's going to be a lot of swimming involved. So it's going to be interesting depending on who's paired up with whom.
So
going
whomever's
forward.
with Tyson's going to win that daily, most likely.
What
Most
what if
likely,
it's
yeah.
Cachet and Tyson paired up in the swimming
Brutal.
challenge? She already talked about how she does not swim, and maybe they're trying to test Tyson. That would be an interesting
Oh, because
pair
it
up.
does seem like there's some big commotion that happens. I can't remember the preview completely, but there's some. It feels like Tyson is the center of something, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe Tyson and Cash are partners, because we haven't also seen the argument that Cachet and Tyson have at some point. So,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
will say
100%.
that if you go to the first episode and watch the What's to Come trailer, you can see everybody jumping into the water for this daily challenge. So you can go through there if you want to see who's paired up with whom before the episode, which I might do. I'm probably gonna do it.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, or you could just tell me after we stop this stream.
I didn't do it yet.
Okay.
Thank you so much to everybody here in the live stream today. We have really enjoyed having you here, all the questions and everything. We always enjoy having you around when we talk about the challenge. Chantal, give us a brief summary of what is coming up on the Reality Realness channel with 3 S's here over the next week, if it can be brief. I know you do a lot.
Okay, well, briefly, tomorrow I'll be talking with Sarah from Nerdtainment. It will also be streamed on my channel about this episode of the challenge. On Sunday and Monday will be the last 2 episodes of Love Island UK. So those will be recap at about 6:15 Eastern. I will be going live doing the recap show with Rob as a podcast on Sunday. So after the Big Brother episode, it'll be myself, Taryn, and Mike Bloom. And then going probably live after the episode for Love Island USA, going live after the episode for the Challenge USA, and then back to ones. So I think that's it right now. And the Amazing Race on Tuesdays sometime.
Jeez.
That's-
Drew, what have you got?
I just lost a
That's
show.
lot.
This is like, woo! It's like thinned out. It's thin. Wait,
Drew,
well,
what do you have
before
coming up?
Drew says anything, though, Chris, we haven't
Yes.
even talked about the fact that you hit 1,000 subscribers.
I know. It's so amazing. Thank you.
It.
Thank you so
like,
much. It
surpassed
was a
it,
big
like,
goal.
by 100, I think. No.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was a big goal, obviously, when I started the channel to get back up to 1,000 subscribers, which I was able to do when I was with Reality Pop. That channel no longer exists. It's turned into a different channel, Survivor Buffs. But, having to start from scratch again and build back to 1,000, that took a long time, but couldn't have done it without the likes of yourself and Drew. So thank you for being a part of the journey as well from the start and believing in the channel and coming over and doing the challenge content with me. I really appreciate the support and love that both your communities have shown me. I believe that most of the people that we have here on the live stream have probably sort of found me through your channels and have come to this, and hopefully have also stuck around and watched some of the other stuff that I do on the channel with Australian Survivor, Survivor South Africa, the US Survivor, the Amazing Race, and so forth. But thank you so much. Thank you to everybody in the lives that come back every week, because without you guys, we're just 3 people here with a mic talking about a show. We love having that interaction, and hopefully many more to come. Next up is 2,000 subs. I am yet to think about what we do to celebrate this. There will be some stuff coming on my next 6 weeks. It's going to be very hectic. There's a few things happening that I can't talk about on the live stream yet, but I will inform you guys about that as it happens. But it means that maybe the schedule wise, it's not going to be the easiest to do like a proper celebration of it within the next couple of weeks, but we will do something. Who knows? By that time, we might be at 1,500. We can always hope, but definitely we'll get all the friends of the podcast and also those that are not on this live stream right now. So people like Michelle, not Chantal's Michelle, but my Michelle for the Amazing Race. Thank you to her. Jake, who helps out with Survivor US content, and then obviously also Richard and Zoe, who did Survivor South Africa actually earlier today with me on the live stream as well. I'm very appreciative of everybody that has helped grow the channel to where it is right now. So thank you, Chantal, for bringing it up. I almost completely forgot.
I just wanted to say it right then as soon as I remember, because I didn't want to forget as well. So I definitely want to give you props, kudos, and it's really fun and exciting seeing you grow so quickly, and so super happy to be a part of it. So of course I'm going to share that.
Drew, over to you. What do you have coming up on Angel Cake Entertainment over the next week?
Normal stuff. I mean, we got endurance, we got a clip, we got review and recap of the Challenge USA. I'm also planning on doing a new series in August with the Challenge USA to a whole new audience. I thought that this would be a fun time to do like a challenge 101 series, kind of like what Idled Out is doing for Survivor. So I'm looking into doing like 8 to 10 minute clips, doing like brief history lessons over like alliances that have happened on the show, the top seasons to watch if you're new to the challenge, the evolution of the challenge as a whole in its history. So I thought that would be fun to do. I'm hoping to get those out on Tuesdays. And I'm going to start that sometime in August. And then also Fridays, I'll have challenge videos. And then everything that I do on Patreon as well, with the rewatch and live Tiny Table Talks that happen on Saturday. So yeah, I'm just busy.
Yeah, it's a great time to be alive with all this challenge content dropping right now. So go check out the Angle Cake Entertainment channel for all things challenge related, and so much more. Consider joining the Patreon. It is awesome. There is a really great community on there that are very active, that participates a lot in this live stream as well. I see all of you guys that are from that Patreon group. Thank you so much for jumping on and also checking out the lives each week. On my channel, it's the usual. It's Survivor South Africa content. I've dropped some, I guess, week 2 content for the recaps. There's exit interviews on there. We will have more exit interviews in the next week. We'll have more recaps coming in for that as well, and some plenty more Survivor content and challenge content as we go through the next couple of weeks. Really excited about that. So for now, thank you everybody for being here. Consider liking, subscribing, all those nice things, and we will catch you guys next Friday evening. Thanks.